I help, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
I understand the next call is a split call. The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, today the Parliamentary Library had a promotion of agricultural industries. As we walked into Bellamy's, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't help but borrow this iconic symbol, the sheep, to raise in this House today. This country built off the back of the proud sheep, Mr. Speaker. Wool, worth the value of gold in the 1950s, and still a core part of one of our biggest industries, the meat industry. But the sheep, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, is not the brightest of animals. And like the National Party, it has this terrible tendency to follow its leader blindly. And when the leader is an international money trader, Mr. Speaker, it's little wonder that that party fails to come up with any vision, any long-term plan for the future of the New Zealand economy, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that this was a budget of wasted opportunity, and none more so apparent than in the meat industry itself, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that the budget failed to do anything to drive down our overvalued New Zealand dollar. It failed to do anything to curb the ever-increasing interest rates and the bank profits that continue to climb, Mr. Speaker. The budget desperately manipulated figures to come up with a so-called surplus. Mr. Speaker, the social and economic deficit in this budget will become apparent over the next few years. Mr. Speaker, from a rural perspective, the jobs that we desperately need are still in many ways linked to our proud sheep, Mr. Speaker. But thankfully, we're a little more intelligent than the national government, Mr. Speaker. What we are seeing is in the sheep industry, carcasses now being exported to China. We see dry land areas being converted into dairy, Mr. Speaker. And we see pasture-fed protein now going into grain-fed protein. A lost opportunity because the minister in the government continues to be a sheep instead of becoming the shepherd. And it's about time Minister Guy became the shepherd and gave some guidance to an industry where thousands of workers up and down this country are fearful of their jobs because of the declining meat industry, Mr. Speaker. Communities are at risk. Thousands of Maori workers, thousands of Kiwis up and down New Zealand who have kept our country going are now at risk because of a declining industry and the fact that that government did nothing. Mr. Speaker, they threw money at the meat industry. They just offered no guidance. Their PGP grant system, allocated in the budget, has allocated the best part of $350 million to a meat industry with little or no accountability. And the Auditor General's investigating that now, and I look forward to that outcome, Mr. Speaker. The PGP grants are an insult to every taxpayer because the government is giving money to their mates and pretending that it's going to do something to revive the meat industry and give security to those workers up and down this country. Mr. Speaker, this country desperately needs a Labor government with vision, a Labor government, and Mr. Hanari should do well to go not read Labor Party propaganda or wisdom. Go to the Farmers' Weekly of this week, Mr. Speaker, and Labor's monetary policy is sound. Mr. Speaker, until we sort out our monetary policy, no export industry can have security, no export industry can invest in the way they need to, and know that they will get a fair return. Mr. Speaker, if I can quote from the wisdom of the Farmers' Weekly, Mr. Speaker, it said that 5 to 15% higher than justified countries' earning potential, the dollar, Mr. Speaker, is costing us $9 billion a year in export earnings. That would pay for a lot of the debt off this $56 billion. Mr. Speaker, in summary, can I say, quote, Labor's plan is not perfect. We don't claim that. But it should reduce dependence on foreign lenders and their expensive money and push the currency down to more export-friendly levels. And for that, it deserves farmers' backing. Mr. Speaker, the reason the National Party won't intervene because it's led by a money trader, and that party, like this thing here, are a bunch of sheep and will take this country down the gurgler unless we change the government and put Labor in power.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Nanaima Huta, 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker.